Welcome to Rich Conversations. This is going to be another fantastic episode. We are talking to Gino, who's all the way in Manila from the Philippines right now. Thanks for coming on. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm really excited to share what I have to basically share, like my experiences and yeah, and anything under the sun. So
I
again,
feel
thank you for
like,
inviting me.
well, thanks for coming on. I feel like you have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
You're a pretty interesting person. It seems like you have traveled quite a range of places within Asia, and you've also
Mhm.
have studied physics, and you were a professor for physics, and now you're working for the nuclear agency within the government of the Philippines,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Wow.
So um um if I'm right about it, I've been to more than 20 countries around Asia,
Wow.
but mostly around Southeast Asia. Around in the
Yeah.
region. But as I've mentioned, the farthest country I've been to is Qatar, but only for a few hours, and Turkey, and as well as Azerbaijan. But mostly all of my travels are in Asia, and one reason is that it's near. The flights are inexpensive, and it's visa free for us.
Oh, it's visa free.
Yeah, it's visa free.
Interesting. So oh wow. So I didn't even know you went to, is it Qatar or Qatar?
Yeah, Qatar
Qatar.
in the Middle East.
Wow. What was
That's
that like?
only I haven't been to outside of the airport, but um after we took flight, I saw this bird's eye view of the city, and it's really beautiful.
What's the
Yeah, and
airport like?
it's quite big. Like we landed somewhere in the open area, and it took us around 30 minutes um from that spot going to the airport. So imagine how big that airport is.
Of all, okay, so you've been to if you look at Gino's Instagram, he's got these
Mhm.
beautiful photos from all over, especially Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
You've been to Singapore. How does it compare to Singapore's airport?
I haven't explored Singapore because when I the Singapore's airport, because when I traveled to Singapore, it was already midnight. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
just right after we landed, we just go directly to our hotel, and yeah, no time to
Yeah,
explore Singapore.
you're not interested in exploring the like jungle within the airport or the movie
No,
theaters or the
I didn't. We didn't had the time. And actually, I only used Singapore airport once when we
Okay.
landed, and because I then traveled to Malaysia after that. So yeah.
Okay.
So I flew from another airport going back to my country.
Okay. So you've been to uh Malaysia,
Mm-hmm.
South Korea. You
Yeah, I studied in Korea for two
yeah.
years.
Wow. So what did you study?
Um, in my undergraduate, I studied physics, and I also in graduate study in physics here in the Philippines. It's located. The university is in Mindanao. It's in the southernmost region of the country, so it's a rural area.
Okay.
And yeah, then after that, I did a teaching job in physics, also in a local university in our hometown. Then I just came across this opportunity to study in Korea. So I said, why not? Like I just tried my luck. I applied for it and I got accepted, and yeah,
Awesome.
and things happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And basically, the good thing is that I studied in Korea um, with a scholarship, so I really didn't spend anything on that. So I was just very grateful for that opportunity,
Yeah.
not only for studying in Korea but also for living in Korea. You know, Korea is a really beautiful country, very diverse, and the culture is very rich. And yeah, very urbanized, and just the way of life there is very efficient and convenient for all.
So you've been around the continent quite a bit. Let's kind of
Yeah.
back up here and So you're from the Philippines, but you had mentioned you're in like
Mm-hmm.
a rural part of the Philippines, and you've only
Yes.
been living in Manila for a few months, right?
Yes, for 3 months, I guess. I just moved here last December. So, so this would be my fourth month.
So what would you say? So what are people like from where you're from? It's remind me again when you put it in the chat.
Okay. So actually
South
in my
Cabato,
yeah,
right?
in the south, yeah, in South
Yeah.
Cotabato, that is my home province. I literally grew up there for the rest of my life. Um it's a rural area when especially our town is known for rice fields or rice paddies.
Okay.
So the basic way of living of people there are through farming, like rice, corn, and root crops.
Okay.
And actually people there are um, because we have this setup in which people living in rural areas are usually underprivileged. We don't have that much resources to to quality education and to quality, like we are if you were working in rural areas, you probably just paid um, below, even below the minimum wage set by the government. So it's kind of underwhelming, I but the way of life there is quite different. It's more relaxed, unlike living in a city in which everything is fast paced. It's like you are running on a clock. But yeah, I think if I have to choose, there is a certain part of me that wants to settle down in a rural area just because
Okay.
of the quality of life. Like everything there is like you have nature, you don't have to stress around anything. It's like no traffic. Yeah, you have really good view. If you just want to go to the beach, you can just drive like 30 minutes or 1 hour, and you have these beautiful beaches,
Wow.
beautiful rivers, beautiful mountains. And it's quite difficult to do that here in Manila, which I
Okay.
think most is Manila is very urbanized,
Yeah.
highly urbanized city, and highly densely populated city. So it's really quite a big change for me to from living in a rural life in which everything is um, relaxed and simple,
Hmm.
and transitioning into living in Manila, in which yeah, everything here is moving fast paced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What what then inspired you to pursue the path that you chose and that you're on right now?
Yeah. So actually, I forgot to mention also, because when I graduated in university, after I graduated, there also I actually got um offers, not really offers, but I saw some job posting in which you will be working in Manila, and I'm very hesitant about it. Before, I've been to Manila quite sometimes where if I
Yeah.
attended some like conferences, but I've only been here like for a few days, a week most. And every time I go to Manila, usually in my second or third day here, I usually tell myself that I really want to go home,
Yeah.
because like everything here is really different. Like, and I also imagine myself I would not survive in Manila because of the traffic, the population, pollution, and
Yeah.
some like reports on crime and everything that can really happen to you. So I'm very hesitant about it. But when I tried living in Korea, it was also a very an highly urbanized city in Ulsan and in Busan.
Okay.
And I think living in a highly urbanized city is not a bad idea at all. So yeah, I just really challenged myself. And when this opportunity of working here in Manila came,
Hmm.
I just took it as a challenge. So yeah, I was just able to adapt living here right now. So I studied, physics is not really a usual um graduate degree that someone could take. I'm not really a smart person. I'm just an average person during my high school and university days, and just a mediocre student. So when I graduated high school, my parents asked me, "What do you want? Um, what course do you want to take in college, or what degree?" And actually living in a rural area, I just have really small dreams of myself. I just want to work in a restaurant, like chef or cook or waiter something, or maybe work in hotels like that. And that, as a kid, that really amazes me. So when I told them, yeah, I wanted to work in a restaurant, and they said no. It's just a typical jokes that we usually say, that Asian parents have really high standards for their kids. Like,
I've heard that.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, as an Asian, you only have three choices. You can be a doctor, you can be an engineer, or you can be a disappointment. That's what they usually say. Yeah,
Wow.
that, yeah. I mean, that's the typical Asian parents, and
Yeah.
yeah, so they sometimes expected more.
Yeah.
Um, uh, um, yeah, they really set this high expectations on their children. So when I said that I just wanted to work in a restaurant, maybe just be a chef or a
Mhm.
cook, because that's what I love to do, and they said no. And I asked them, what do you want me to study? And they said, we want you to be a doctor. So yeah, so they really pushed me. So I have to take a course on science. I was
Okay.
about to take biology because they wanted me to be a medical doctor. But when I went to the university, like the slots for biology is already full, because as
Okay.
what I've been saying, yeah,
Yeah.
most parents want their kids to be doctor. I was late when I went to the university for enrollment, and there was this course I haven't heard, not really heard about this one, about like physics.
Okay.
And they said like, we only have like three students enrolled in this course, so like no one is taking that course. So I have to take physics just for me to get into university, and not really for the reason of studying it, but for me just to get into that university. And probably my plan was to, after one semester, I'll shift into biology and
Mhm.
continue, and after that, I'll study medicine. But after a semester of studying physics, I actually kind of liked it, and because I get already close with the people, with my classmates. So yeah, when I think that I have to change courses, I did not do it, because yeah, I was already close with my classmates, and yeah, physics is actually fun but boring at the same time.
Elaborate on that.
um One reason is that I did not take courses in arts or social sciences and languages, because for me, I'm not really good in English. My sentence structure is not good, like my grammar. I I'm just a mediocre student in my English class, like just an average grade. So when I think about physics, it's more on calculations, solving equations and problems.
Okay.
And I think you don't have to construct sentences in that.
Yeah.
It's just numbers and letters. So I think, yeah, that's actually fun.
Yeah.
I don't have to write long essays, long paragraphs, like 3 pages of explanations to explain. So yeah, I just kind of get into just writing, playing with numbers and letters. So if I have to choose again, I'm more inclined in solving equations than writing essays.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you're studying physics. What then? So you're studying physics and you go to school in South Korea, right?
Yeah.
So what does the timeline look like when, so while you're studying physics and you're learning about that science. What does the timeline look like? And how are you finding time to then like travel all over the
Mhm.
place and explore?
Okay, so I studied my master's in physics 10 years ago in 2012, and on my second year, no, it was on my first year of study. We have this call for applications for a students exchange program in India, hosted by our national government. So I just like applied, tried my luck again, and I was really lucky to be able that I was accepted like one of the 25 students all over the country
Okay.
who were sent to experience India for an exchange program. It was 2 weeks to a 2 week program, and that was actually my first travel outside of the Philippines.
Okay.
So it was really my first time exploring a new territory, meeting people from with different culture and different
Yeah.
race and different language. Yeah, in the students exchange program, it's an exchange program between India and the 10 ASEAN countries. So I was also able to meet new people and make friends um, from from people with people from those countries. So it was only a short program, like 2 weeks, and we were kind of hectic. We went to I think 4 cities in 2 weeks, so we have to
Oh wow.
travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, we stayed in one city for 3 days, and the next day we have to fly out and move to another city. And when I made like meet other people from, let's say, Thailand, Cambodia, they keep saying that, oh, after this one you should visit our country as well. We have
Yeah.
we have beautiful places in our country. So I've kind of made network from people within those country. And after that, when I graduated, I worked as a professor. So every semester break or every
Okay.
break that we have, I've yeah, that's when I make time to travel to other countries. So like after I graduated, um, on a summer break, me and my friends also went to Brunei, and the friends we made from Brunei, they kind of hosted us. So
Wow.
and they showed us around, and I think that's one good thing of making networks with people from other countries is that you have someone you can really trust in when you visit their place, and they know more about of their country, so they can show you really authentic local experiences that you want to try.
Yeah.
So especially me, I really like eating local foods. So yeah, they actually know where to show to bring us like this restaurant serves the best dish, so you should try this one.
Yeah.
So every time I travel, I don't really eat in McDonald's or KFC or any fast food. I really go to their authentic restaurants and street foods to really have a taste of their culture.
Wow. So this is like every semester that you're traveling then
Yeah,
for the most
actually
part?
starting in 2012. I every year I make it a pledge to travel outside of the country, but it was just during the pandemic when my streak on traveling countries every year um was cut. Like in
Yeah.
2020, I was supposed to go to this Kota Kinabalu in Malaysia as well as Brunei, but yeah,
Yeah.
since then I was not able to go out of the country, so that's really not fun.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people's streaks ended
Yeah.
with COVID. What have been some of your favorite traveling experiences?
Oh, the first country I've been to, and that is India. It's not only because it's the first country I've been to, but when um the food is really like for me, I don't really like eating spicy food,
Okay.
but yeah, Indian food is really spicy, but it's not about the it's just about their culture showing actually in their food. It's like when you go to different places, they have these different flavors of food, and it's just their culture is very rich. You can really
Mhm.
see this very these cool architectures. And one thing that amazes me is when I saw the Taj Mahal.
Okay.
And yeah, like one thing happened to me there is like I was just sitting on a certain spot and just looking at it, and I was just like in awestruck because it looks like I was just looking at I was just looking up like a real picture of it.
Yeah.
So it's like I couldn't imagine, like I only saw this in books, in postcards, but for me seeing being able to see it firsthand is just really and just an amazing experience. And yeah, if I have to choose, that place would really still be one of my favorite places.
Wow.
If given a chance, I would really visit Taj Mahal again.
Huh. What are some other great spots in India that you enjoyed?
Oh, we went to this so we went to four cities, I guess, in Delhi, in
Okay.
Jaipur. They call this pink city, so in which most of their architectures there are color, it's pink, because I think
Mm,
they kind of related attributed their this to their sand, because their sand is kind of reddish in color.
okay.
And we went to Mumbai. That was the second place we went. Mumbai is very populated city, and we're always stuck in traffic. And you know, Mumbai is, they call it this the Bollywood capital of India. So
Yeah.
yeah, so what's Mumbai without Bollywood? And we were just lucky to see. We were just cruising on the roads of Mumbai, and we were able to see like I think it was a movie set, and there were just a lot of crowd of people around it.
Wow.
Yeah, Mumbai, Jaipur, and the capital, of course, in Delhi, New Delhi.
Okay. How would you describe the difference between Delhi and Mumbai?
Delhi is quite cold. We went there. I think it was December, so around 7 degrees Celsius, and Mumbai is really
Okay.
hot. So it's very
Okay.
humid. Yeah.
So Mumbai is it's like it's more in the tropic climate and then
Yeah.
mountainous
Yeah.
in Delhi. Okay.
Yeah. Delhi is kind of in the north part of India.
Okay. What do you like when you're traveling somewhere, what is kind of the standard of like what you do? Do you have like patterns when you travel of what you want to see, how you want to get around, how you want to experience things?
Okay, so some of my travels, those are official travels like students exchange or when I attended conference. Some of my travels as well, it's just like recreational travel with friends, but there are also travels in which I do like solo trip, just bring my backpack with me and explore the areas. But before every travel I do, I really prepare and research things where I want to visit. I actually
Okay.
like draft my itinerary and like set up budget for every places uh, that I- that I wanted to visit, because I think that's also a really good thing to prepare in traveling. So you can prepare for whatever thing that could happen to you. You can, yeah, I know there are actually risks in traveling, not only for your safety. um you may run out of budget, you may run out of time, but being organized and making a list actually helps that and reduces your stress. I
Yeah.
guess when you actually reach that country. So what I usually do, I really research the place. You know, when I travel, you don't have the liberty of time that you say you can visit everything, because you are also on a tight schedule, and also you are also on a budget. So I'm really just looking at places where um places where it actually excites me. So I spend more of my time on those
Okay.
experiences, and on my itinerary, I always search for places where you can really try eating authentic foods, like just night market, in which you can just spend $1 or 2 and you will be already full. So yeah, just I'm just searching for local restaurants really, and not on big um fast food chains.
Yeah, that kind of goes for life too. It's like the more
Mhm.
organized and prepared you are, the smoother things will probably go.
Yeah.
So do you like I noticed a lot of photos of like temples
Mm.
or like palaces or like really interesting architecture. Is that something you always kind of have on your itinerary or list?
Yeah, I think because like architecture or temples, it's one of the identity of the country that you are visiting. It's not only, as I've mentioned, it's not only the food, but also the places. What defines that place, or what makes that country iconic. For example, when you say Paris, France, you think of the Eiffel Tower. So the
Mhm.
architecture is really one way of immersing into their culture, and also one way for me to somehow experience their culture. For example, because in when I went to for example, in Cambodia, in Thailand, you might think that those temples they just literally look the same, but they are not, and they are rich history and background um, about those temples, which really makes it very interesting. So yeah, so every time I travel, I really make sure to put on the list on seeing unique architectures that can only be found in their country. So because that makes their country iconic. For example, when I went to Thailand, I make sure that I visit this Taipei 101, and um, went to their observatory. I think it was not really on the rooftop. So it's just one way of experiencing their country, really.
Yeah, I'm looking at these photos and they're similar, but they're quite strikingly different.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there one that stands out to you most?
I could not think of one specifically, because I think every temples or these buildings that I've went to are really different in nature. They
Yeah.
are just unique in their own sense. So I could not really choose.
Yeah.
But yeah, for example, in Thailand or in Myanmar, you can really see very beautiful temples, and they are very unique in their own each way.
Yeah. Oh man. That's cool. You've gone to a lot of places I would love to go
Yeah.
to. Is there a place where you like the food the best?
Oh, Vietnam.
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 I've been to Vietnam and the
Yeah,
food there was great.
it's really great. Thai food is also good, but like for me personally, I don't like eating spicy food.
Yeah.
And yeah, most of their dishes are spicy. It's like they put chilies on everything,
Yeah.
just like in India or in Malaysia.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vietnamese food is really good.
Yeah. Vietnam's got great food.
Mhm.
Um, well, shifting gears a little bit here. Uh, well, actually, no, one more question on this.
Yeah.
What have you learned most about the continent by traveling? And what have you learned about yourself through doing it?
Okay, so I think how can I say this one? Maybe one thing that I'm also looking forward every time I travel is to meet people. So every time I travel, I meet people with different language, from different countries, from having different beliefs, religion. Just people from having different in different walks of life. And of all experiences and all the things that I've learned from them is that meeting people from different countries or traveling as a whole is a very humbling experience. So it's really widened my perspective that the world is so huge, and yeah, and makes me like feel really small about myself. No, and it's not a bad thing. Feeling small about yourself. It's just really a humbling experience that you are not above or greater than anybody. It's like you are just on the same playing field. So I think traveling around Asia or traveling as a whole is very a humbling experience and very empowering experience. I get to know myself better. I learned a lot of life skills, being independent. I learned how to protect myself, and I learned how to trust myself, to trust my instincts, and I really just got to learn things through experience, and it makes me really appreciate life as a whole. Is that there's more to life than our usual routine of like just being employed, get paid, and yeah. So um, I'm really just looking forward after this pandemic that I get to travel again, and I hope I'll be able to visit um, new places, new countries from other continents. So yeah, so traveling is very humbling and very important for me.
So you've been on a traveling hiatus since COVID. What's the
Yes.
first country you're going to visit now once you're able to?
Um, Not sure. I would really love to visit Europe, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, because
We'll see.
problem, coming from a third world country, we are only limited to visit only a few list of countries visa free, and obtaining visa is quite difficult and as well as expensive for us. So I usually
Mhm.
travel to countries first, in which I get to visit it visa free. So mostly in Asia, yes, Southeast Asia in particular.
Okay. Well, okay. So shifting gears a little bit
Mhm.
to science. So you've been a former professor of physics.
Uh-huh.
Uh, what do you feel the general public should know about this subject that will help them better understand their relationship to the world?
They think about, like, for example, physics or science as a whole as just as I know, in my country, um, science does not get that much attention, and they are not taken seriously because people from living in third world country, they just find means they just focus more on how to survive everyday life or making ends meet. So science is really underappreciated in our country, but physics is just a body of knowledge in which really helps in improving the quality of life. So if they just really appreciate science and know this importance of physics, they might also appreciate how science actually were able to improve our quality of life.
Mhm.
It might not be really like literally. It's like, because we have this like saying or a mentality here that why study math or calculus. I could not use it in let's say in everyday living.
Yeah.
I don't go to market and ask for, let's say, I want a an in a use you don't use calculus when you buy something off from the
Yeah.
market, right? Yeah, so they have this kind of mentality or joke that they were saying around that I'm not gonna use this after I graduated. But
Yeah.
studying math, for example, it's more on the training mentally. Because math does not teach us to, let's say, breathe oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide or something.
Yeah.
It might not teach us how um to do practical things, but what really math or physics taught me is that for every problem that you are faced, there is a solution to it. So that really strikes me and make me appreciate is that you can't literally you just use it literally, but the training that you have may somehow changes you and somehow changes the way you think and see life and approach life as well.
Yeah, it kind of mirrors something I talked to someone else in physics in
Mhm.
Germany, and he said that like studying and learning about physics teaches you how to think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
critical thinking.
Yeah.
So I guess that also really helped me being organized and listing things when I travel, because in physics we are trained to do researches, readings, and read data, acquire data. So I think that also helped me. I've also developed these practical life skills
Yeah.
that I applied into a different aspects as well.
Yeah. So then how do you move from physics to nuclear energy?
Yeah, physics, nuclear energy is also based in physics, so it's just one
Yeah.
of the specialization in physics. So it was not really a big transition for me moving into it. So it's more on the practical application
Okay.
of physics, and that is engineering. But yeah, so when I was working as a professor, I really love working in teaching students, because you were able to meet these new students in a routine job in which you do the same thing over and over again every day for years of your life. Because every semester, every year, I meet new students. I know their stories, and just
Mhm.
inspiring them is just really um how do I describe? You can't really describe this in words, that you were able to help students, to guide them to be professionals, or to be successful. But when I got this opportunity also to study in Korea, that specializes in nuclear engineering, I think, because I don't want to get stuck in a rural place, because you can't just be in your comfort zone for all of your life. Like, you have to
Mhm.
take risk, because there are rewards for stepping out of your comfort zone. So I actually really took risk into leaving my job, and to pursue this engineering. And like, I literally quit my job. It's like after I study, I have no job waiting for me. But I
Mhm.
guess that once you really just work hard, or you just have discipline, you can, like, opportunities will just come to you. And I think it's just with the proper mindset, discipline, and hard work.
Yeah, that's very well said.
Oh, thank you.
Um, so something I'm curious about is like,
Mhm.
I'm curious about the 21st century and like moving forward, and like energy is going to be, I mean, everything is powered by electricity, and it's like, how do
Mhm.
we, or like everything uses electricity, like how do we then create that energy, and what does the outlook of nuclear energy look like this century, and how does it compare to other energy sources like hydro, wind, solar, and I guess older forms like coal?
Mhm. So let me just we might just get technical on this discussion, but I'll
Let's do
try
it.
to explain it in layman's term. So with the increasing population, we have increasing energy demands, and with the effects of this war between Russia and Ukraine, actually, countries and developing countries or third world countries are the most affected, and we are the most vulnerable. For example, for the past 2 weeks, gasoline prices went really skyrocketed here. Let's say half a dollar per liter of gasoline
Mhm.
for the past 2 weeks, and that is really, it's just more than half of the usual price of gasoline. So imagine how it really affects people here in our country. And I think one way to solve this one is to find alternative sources of energy and not really just depend on these conventional oil and petroleum sources. And that's where nuclear energy comes into. Nuclear energy, comes from the fission of atoms. And one good thing about nuclear energy is really, it is really large scale. It can really produce huge amounts of energy using a small amount of material. So comparing to the other sources, especially like renewables, the problem with renewables is they are not really reliable. For example, like solar, if it's nighttime or if it is raining, you cannot generate electricity uh, with solar panels. If there's no wind, you cannot generate electricity through wind turbines. And comparing these other sources of electricity, nuclear actually has the highest capacity factor. It's around 94%. It means that actually capacity factor dictates or dictates how the a generating station produces electricity. So if it has a capacity factor of 94%, it means that the nuclear power plant is operating at maximum power 94% of the time. So in every 100 days, let's say it generates electricity full power for 94 straight days compared to solar that's only 20% or 30% for wind. So imagine solar is not really reliable, and
Yeah.
it does not work in all weather conditions as well as like hydro or wind. So I think countries, I guess, should really consider into putting nuclear as part of their energy mix. And also nuclear is a clean form of energy, like no zero greenhouse gas emission during operation. And yeah, um it's just nuclear has just this negative image due to like accidents in Chernobyl and in Fukushima. And I I, I just think personally, I think the word nuclear has this negative connotation. When they hear the word nuclear, people are thinking about bombs or cancer, but nuclear is not really bad at all. So yeah, that's why I'm really passionate about this promoting nuclear energy, especially in our country, since we are really experiencing the effects of high gasoline and petroleum prices. So we actually in the government are really working hard to um, for people to accept and support nuclear energy. And I think that's the first step for a successful nuclear energy program in the country. Yeah, so that's it.
Huh. Yeah, my
Wasn't too
question was
time.
kind of like, so why isn't nuclear energy used more? Is it because of the stigma of it?
Yes, yes, I guess. But
But
if you have to think like developed countries like USA, South Korea, France, Germany, UK, they all have nuclear. So it's really because for a country to be thriving economically, you really need to have a huge amount of energy for the country to industrialize. So yeah, I think the only downside of nuclear is the stigma of people just thinking the negative. They just have this negative campaigning against nuclear energy, especially environmentalists. I don't understand some environmentalists. They don't support. They want clean energy, but they don't support nuclear energy.
you said before that it is a clean energy, right?
Yeah, it is a clean. It is clean energy.
What are the risks of nuclear energy?
Um, risk. I think it's more on the security. You know, when I was studying in Korea for nuclear energy, our campus or our university is actually located inside a nuclear power plant complex. So outside of our school, there are around 10 nuclear power plants surrounding our school. So imagine, and the personnel actually guarding those stations are
Yeah.
military from Korea. They are just not like the police or private security personnel, but they are military because they know that, for example, in terrorist attacks, enemies are really targeting nuclear energy because of this release of radiation. So it's more on security. But if you really review technical papers, nuclear energy has a tantamount amount of safety systems, like active and passive safety systems. And yeah, the world is evolving, policies are evolving to make it more safer, and so that people would not really fear about this radiation breakout and radiation fallout from nuclear plants.
Where do you think we'll be energy wise in like 10 and then 20 years from now?
Actually, countries are acknowledging that the supply of petroleum is running out.
Yeah.
United Arab Emirates, it's one of the countries that produces oil. They actually built nuclear power plant. They ordered for nuclear plants from Korea. So if a country that produces oil builds a nuclear plant, there's might be some implications about it, because they acknowledge that their supply of petroleum would run out in the next, let's say, decade, or in the next few years. So they actually need to find an alternative source of energy that has a huge power load, because in UAE they have Dubai, they have Abu Dhabi. These are very huge city, and they really need huge amount of power to to power those cities. That's why they actually explored in nuclear energy, and they invested on nuclear energy. And I think other countries should acknowledge this one, and yeah, and see the United Arab Emirates as a case study in which, imagine a country with having rich amount of oil is considering nuclear already.
Hmm. Is energy storage and the moving of that storage of energy an issue within like the industry of energy, like as far as like renewable goes? I think I've learned that it's hard to like store it and then like move it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that ring true? And like is there a way, you're talking about like UAE building power plants, but can countries then like have nuclear power and then just ship and transfer that energy to other places?
No, you cannot really shift or transfer or store energy um, from power plants unless you do like this huge batteries or energy storage. But just like in any other power plants, once you generate electricity, you have to use it right away.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the batteries, do you see batteries in the 21st century improving astronomically because
Yeah,
of the
actually,
demand?
yeah. Of this energy storage, actually, there are more researchers now in energy storage, and some of my colleagues are actually working on improving quality of and efficiency of these energy storage batteries, as well as the scalability of these batteries. So they want to make like large scale batteries for energy storage.
How long do you think we see like dramatic impact from that type of innovation?
I think looking at the past 5 years, it's already dramatically um, different scenario than what we currently have right now. So I think in 5 or 10 years more, we could really have good products, and where they can really market this one, the energy storage batteries large scales.
Wow.
So let's say 10 years from now. So yeah. So that's what I'm always like telling people, that they, especially here, like they should somehow appreciate what people with science backgrounds do, because it's also for their quality of life of the general population.
Yeah. Yeah, the more I learn, the more I'm like excited and like blown away by uh the technology and the pace that it's moving, because it's like compounding. You said the last 5 years, right?
Uh-huh.
But the next 5 years will be like triple the,
Yeah,
like developments of the last
yeah,
5 years. It
yeah.
just keeps
Imagine,
going more and more.
yeah, imagine like the smartphones. Imagine what the phones looked like in just 5 years ago or 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and what we have now is very advanced. So I think that the same thing would happen for energy storage because it's really in demand right now.
Yeah. So then living and traveling around Southeast Asia
Mm.
and working in energy, what what three things excite you about the future?
Mm, well, that's a quite difficult question to answer. I don't know. I'm just more on like personally, my philosophy is that um, wow, I don't know how to answer the question.
It's a
It's
bold
like
question.
yeah, like personally, I don't really think about the future. I'm just more focused on what I have right now in the present.
Yeah.
Because you can't really know the future and you can't really prepare what the future could bring you. For example, like me before, I set plans like in 10 years I should be working here, I should have these things, I should have that but nothing really happens. Like the universe would always have a different plan for you.
Yeah.
Just live your life. You cannot really design your life. Just live your life and it will just design itself. So that's just my that's just my philosophy in life. So I don't really think much about the future. It's just like I'm enjoying what I do have right now and appreciate um things that I have right now.
Yeah. That's a great outlook.
Yeah.
Um, well, shifting gears, I kind of have like three questions left for you
Okay.
that I'm curious about. And that's what of them is, what three musical artists are in your heavy rotation right now?
Oh, the Beatles.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of listening to old school music right now. I'm not really saying that um that music nowadays is bad. It's just personally I enjoy music back then. It's more of their lyrics are more meaningful, and they have stories in their songs. So the Beatles, um, also Mariah. You know Mariah Carey.
Oh yeah. Who doesn't?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mariah. Yeah, and yeah, old school music like Aretha, contemporary bands as well, like Keen, Amy Winehouse, U2, Coldplay, like anything. Like I don't have any specific artist as long as
Yeah.
I really like their music, but mostly old music from the 90s, 80s, and 70s as well, like Etha J, Etta James, and Aretha, yeah, Aretha, Al Green, and just soul music.
It's all, yeah.
It's
So
more
it's all over the
relaxing.
place.
But sometimes it depends on it's but sometimes it depends on my mood. There are days when I want to listen to like disco music or pop music or Korean music, Korean pop. So
Yeah.
that definitely depends on my mood.
Uh, what The Beatles are my favorite band.
Yeah.
So like I love the Beatles. Let's see, we got a Beatles book right here.
Wow.
We have two John Lennon books. We got
Wow.
a Paul McCartney over there. We got Revolution in the Head, I think, is my
Uh-huh.
favorite book on the Beatles. It talks about the correlation between the 1960s
Mhm.
uh in the United States, especially, and the career arc of the Beatles and how like interconnected they are. I love that book. What's your favorite album by the Beatles, and who's your favorite Beatle?
Yeah, obviously it's Paul McCartney.
Oh, it's
It's
obvious.
yeah, And I mean, like personally, because he mostly do all of the singing, but all of them are really great. And just want to share this. Like when I had my first job, when I received my first salary, the first thing that I bought was a Beatles T-shirt.
Really?
Yeah. So because during university, I started listening to their music.
Wow. Do you have a favorite album?
I'm not really familiar with their album's name, but because I just have this one folder of music. I just got it from my
Okay.
roommate in the dormitory. It's
Okay.
like can I just copy some of your music and just in this one folder, 100 songs from the Beatles. And when I started listening,
Oh
it's like
yeah.
wow, this is really good. So
Yeah, they're
I'm not really like sure
okay.
about the name of the albums, but I know some of their songs, lots of their songs.
They have a quite extensive catalog, high
Yeah,
quality extensive
yeah,
catalog.
yeah.
How do you listen to music? Do you like I use Spotify. Do you use a like an app or how do you do it?
Um, I'm a cheap person. Like I don't really pay for things that I could get for free,
Yeah.
and people are really laughing about it. Like I don't have Netflix because like I can just watch like movies in other websites for free. I don't have Spotify because I can just download music from online. So just
Yeah.
just download online music from online and just like syncing it to my phone and yeah,
Yeah.
listen, or sometimes to my iPod.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry for
Um,
being cheap, but that's just me.
hey, I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the resourcefulness too.
Yeah, because living again in rural area and growing up in rural area, every centavo really counts. So
Yeah.
you really know how to spend your money well because of this lack of resources. You just really need to be again to be resourceful in everything you do.
Yeah. Who or what are three people or things that have influenced your outlook on life? Whether people, books, films, art, mediums.
Um, Not I don't I can't think of specific people, but I think every time really I travel, it somehow changes my outlook in life.
Mm.
So, for example, if I visit a certain country, I learn things about the people, and it sometimes changes. It really changes me. Like every time I travel, I'm not the same person that left the country and that returned the country. So I'm
Wow.
somehow yeah, I'm somehow changed. Like for example, when I went to Korea, it was really a humbling experience because my professors there's my professors, for example, they graduated with PhDs um from universities in the US. They don't really brag their titles. For example, when I submitted one report, I put my professor's name and like comma PhD, and he asked me to erase that PhD because he just wants his name to be on his paper.
Yeah.
He doesn't want people to look at you based on your title, based on your position. So you just want people to look at him as himself, and that really strikes me. And I somehow applied about it one. Yeah, I tried to be humble as possible because I'm not I don't think that I am greater than anybody or my profession or their profession is less than mine. So it's just really a humbling experience traveling. So I really hope people also experience that as well. That life changing um experience. So yeah, so I don't really have specific people, books, or movies in life that
You
somehow
have experiences
changes
which
my.
are
Yes, I
quite
have
better.
experiences. Mhm.
Awesome. All right. So my last question for you: what are you curious about recently?
Uh, I don't know, like just studying physics, and there's a saying that the more you know, the less you think you know,
Yeah,
and
that's for sure.
yeah, and that made me question about a lot of things. And I think just the vastness of space, and the more I learned about the universe, like universe is really big. And if you look at Earth, it's just a really small portion. It's not even a small portion. It's like just a sand,
Yeah.
a speck of sand. And it made me question if there are also other universes with people living in them, or in just parallel universe. It's just I just want to know if are we really alone in this universe or not? Because looking at the hugeness of universe, you can really ask that one, that maybe we are not alone, and Earth is just like a very small part of the universe, and that really makes me curious. So I hope in this lifetime, we will be able to get answers to that.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you if you thought in our lifetimes if we'll
Mhm.
get an answer to that.
Yeah. And one thing that I want to share is that I learned in other cultures, for example, in Southeast Asia, they really believe in reincarnation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like when we are I'm talking with some locals, they might mention that maybe I was this person in my previous life, or they are also curious what would they be in their future life. And and living in Philippines, like we don't really have that much kind of mentality. Maybe because of like religion, they're more on the Buddhist and philosophical, and we are more on the Christian
Yeah.
Christian side. So that thing is also really interesting for me. Like people believe in reincarnation, and maybe I somehow believed in that, because there are, that some deja vu moments that you have that you just can't really explain.
Yeah.
Maybe that really happened in your previous life, and you're just having just a glimpse of it, and that's why you have this deja vu feeling or experience.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah, it just makes me think like there's really more about life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very well said. Well, Gino, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you also for inviting me. I really love to share my experiences to people, even to my friends. I just really love sharing experiences, and I hope other people can also have the same experiences, or the same joy of traveling and really exploring the world.
Yeah.